It's back again! I know, try to contain your excitement. How's it going, guys? It's Nate here, and so is our newest wave of creations on Skyrim's Creation Club. As just today, much to the frustration of SKSE users, Bethesda released 4 new downloadable add-ons to the marketplace, priced between 100 and 400 credits. This has been the first update to Skyrim CC that we've seen since early April. It's been nearly 5 months, so I was somewhat optimistic that Bethesda would make an effort to really blow us away with this most recent expansion. Alas, at least in my opinion, I was again left somewhat disappointed. Okay, not somewhat, I was really disappointed, but I've kind of come to expect that in a weird way. All the new releases, save for one, felt extremely lacking in terms of gameplay elements, and I'd even go so far as to argue that this month brought some of the worst releases we've seen. And that's kinda saying something. But fear not, I've been spending hours with all of these creations and compiling my thoughts, so you won't have to. And today we're gonna dive into each of these releases and discuss what they all have to offer. So without further ado, let's do further. I'm going to go into this in descending order in terms of price. So the first creation I'd like to cover is Myrwatch. It's a player home mod designed by a well-known and talented community modder named Eleonora. It'll set you back 400 Bethesda bucks, or roughly $4. Once the mod has been installed, as soon as you load into a game, you'll automatically be given a quest in your journal, titled Myrwatch, with an entry describing your character hearing strange rumors about an abandoned building in Morthal, and an objective to investigate this location. Once you've arrived, you'll stand before a large tower. However, the door will be locked and you'll have no means of entry. But thankfully for you, just a few feet away from the door will lie the corpse of a man who probably wasn't so thankful, named Hans, who was murdered to death by a nearby animal. On his body will be a journal, which provides a bit of context. However, long story short, to enter the home you'll simply need to use a flame spell on the Eye of Magnus engraving outside. After which, a spectral rabbit will appear, run over to an abandoned well, do some magic stuff, and voila, the door will be unlocked, and the home is yours. Myrwatch Tower consists of 2 floors. On the first, you'll find a common living area, a dining table, a kitchen, a bed, and a plethora of books. The second story functions sort of like a workshop, with a variety of alchemical ingredients and crafting stations, as well as dozens of displays, for the player to hang their weapons and armor, for all to see. Now, again, Myrwatch has 2 floors, but you may already be noticing that there are no stairs. They don't actually exist. Instead, if you want to transport between floors, you'll need to step into an odd teleportation doorway. Once you do so, you'll be transferred into the opposite floor. The reason for this is that both floors are in technically different cells. This was likely to consume game memory. So that means there is also a loading screen when you step into this teleportation device, but fear not, it's incredibly brief and nearly non-existent. The home itself has extreme attention to detail. Every item seems to have been thoughtfully placed, and there's a number of valuables worth a fortune for you to uncover. Though, honestly, I didn't want to disturb them, considering how great everything looked as is. On a table inside the first floor will be a journal entry from the previous occupants, which gives some insight on Myrwatch's past. I won't spoil too much, but it has to do with the College of Winterhold, hence the Eye of Magnus outside and whatnot. But while a lot of thought and effort clearly went into this home, and it's a very high quality, I still can't see myself recommending it as it stands at a $4 price tag. Admittedly, I've never really been into the whole home building side of Skyrim, so this type of content isn't meant to really appeal to me anyway, but considering the wealth of free home mods, many designed by Eleonora herself that are just as good, if not considerably better, there's not much of an incentive to make a purchase in this instance. And again, while really nice to look at, there's nothing really to bring you back. Some of the free home mods have entire complex and intriguing quests attached to them, and even progression systems and customization options. This one is, well, you get what you see. So, unfortunately, despite a nice design, the price tag is what makes this a thumbs down for me. Our next creation, priced at 300 credits, is Pets of Skyrim, also created by a community modder known as Steelfeathers. Pets of Skyrim offers the player 5 different animals to obtain as followers. There's a goat, a rabbit, a fox, a frostbite spider, and a skeever. To obtain these new furry friends, the Dragonborn will automatically be given a quest that points you in the direction of each one's location. They're spread out across Skyrim, and once you find one and simply interact with it, it'll be yours. Additionally, for each animal you find, you'll automatically be given a spell that teleports them to you on demand. So let's say you left the goat back in Windhelm and now you're in Riften. No biggie, simply cast the appropriate spell and he'll be at your side in literally no time. So how do these animals function as companions, I hear you ask? Well, the answer is not particularly well. You can only have up to 2 as active followers at a time, and they are completely incapable of entering combat. At all. They won't attack your enemies, but they're also incapable of receiving damage, so that's a plus, I suppose. Meaning, their only real utility is to look cute, and sometimes carry your stuff if you're ever almost encumbered, and that's pretty much it. Now, in fairness, the goat really is absolutely adorable with its backpack, and the fox has a really cute collar, but I don't feel like that justifies $3. The animals don't do anything. In fact, I found them to be more annoying than helpful, as they're constantly blocking doorways, and they can't be pushed out of the way through sprinting like traditional human followers can. Furthermore, I have no doubt there's dozens of mods that offer the same animal companions for free, with more utility. So, much like Myrwatch Tower, this one is going to get a big yikes from me. At our third spot, for 300 credits, is Nordic Jewelry. And with respect to whomever developed this is probably the single worst thing I have ever seen on the Creation Club. And that is seriously saying something. Nordic Jewelry adds in 3 new items to the game. A Nordic Circlet, a Nordic Ring, and a Nordic Amulet. That's it. Like, that is all the creation does. You can purchase them at jewelry vendors for exorbitant prices, might I add, or craft them at a forge after completing the automatically added in associated quest, which briefly sends you to Solstheim to locate the corpse of a man who allegedly crafted these items in the first place. On his body will be the blueprints to make them for yourself. None of these items have any armor value or explicit enchantment at all. They don't do anything but look somewhat aesthetically pleasing. That's it. That is their entire functionality. And keep in mind, when you are wearing a circlet or amulet or ring, you're actively taking up a slot that could be going to a ring or helmet or amulet or whatever with an actual enchantment or with some utility that benefits you. And I get it's only $3, but keep in mind, you're only getting 3 items. You're actively paying $1 for each of these, and that makes no sense to me. As you can probably tell by the tone of my voice, I am not going to recommend this one to you. Save your money and buy half a pumpkin spice latte or something. And the final creation we got today, for 100 Bethesda bucks, is Rare Curios. And actually, this one was probably my favorite. Mainly because I do think there is some value here, especially compared to the last one we looked at. Rare Curios adds in a plethora of new unique ingredients, a little over 50, that can be purchased off of Khajiit caravans. Each ingredient has its own unique model and texture, and most of them are based off of items that we've seen in past Elder Scrolls games, from Vardenfell to the Shivering Isles, that I think many players are going to immediately recognize. Each ingredient comes with 4 effects, though none of these effects are new to Skyrim, and can be used at an alchemy station to craft a variety of potions and poisons. However, you'll also be able to craft a few new types of arrows and bolts, as well as new poison apples. Though poison apples literally behave exactly as normal damage health poisons do, so not much new there. Altogether, while this creation may not be nearly as large as one like Myrwatch Tower, I think for $1, the value of it is easily the highest on this list. If you play Skyrim as much as I do, which in fairness, I do kind of play this game for a living, so I play it a lot, this creation might be worth picking up, especially if you're into alchemy. The new models and nostalgic callbacks to Morrowind and Oblivion were what really did it for me. So while I don't play around with poisons and potions all that often, I do just like to look at the textures. Maybe it's just a me thing. But, unfortunately, despite my recommendation, you can't actually purchase just 100 credits on the marketplace. At minimum, you have to get at least 750 in one package, which I would not advise doing just for this. So, if you already have the credits lying around, this might be worth going for, but otherwise, it is another yikes from me. And that concludes all the new content we got to see. Frankly, it was quite underwhelming. You have to wonder if this is what they were working on for 5 months. It's a bit ridiculous. Comparatively, Fallout 4's Creation Club has been receiving new content on a much more frequent basis. So I'm curious if the reason for this disparity is perhaps because Skyrim's content isn't selling as well. I can't really think of any other reason, because Bethesda clearly wasn't using all of this time to build something big and outstanding. I did, however, notice some improvements in certain respects compared to our last releases. For one, CC-associated quests are now automatically added into your journal. Before, you'd have to wait for a courier to come to you and give you a letter to start one. So that was a kind of nice thing. But much like what was the case for our last set of releases, each one left me thinking, is that it? Is that all we get to do? And every time the answer was yes. I was consistently disappointed. And I must point out, I actually do believe there is a lot of potential for the Creation Club to be a pretty good service. I'm not nearly as hostile to the idea as I think most of the community is. I don't really have a problem with Bethesda selling us these transactions. My problem is none of the individual transactions seem to be worth the money. I think it's a brilliant idea to have community modders get a chance to work for the studio and make some money doing it. Everyone I've spoken to associated with the Creation Club has said nothing but nice things about the entire experience. So at the very least, the modders seem to be having a really good time. Now just to translate that experience to the consumers as well, which is a much more difficult beast to slay apparently. Unfortunately, it's been over 1 year since the Creation Club debuted as a service in Fallout 4, and we haven't really seen any major transitions or evolutions that suggest Bethesda is moving in a different direction. So for now, while I think there's excellent potential, it seems quite obvious to me that Bethesda isn't really jumping on that, or there's something in the way that's keeping that potential from being realized. Unfortunately, it's with that somber message that we're gonna wrap up this video. In conclusion, not much has changed. I don't recommend any of the creations featured, except maybe the final one if you've got the 100 credits lying around, but otherwise, I'm just again gonna have to advise you guys to stay away from this beast. Thanks for watching, I suppose. If you enjoyed the video, like ratings are as always very much appreciated. What are your thoughts on the Creation Club? How would you like to see it evolve? What would you like to see change? Would you like to see it abolished altogether, or would you like to see some larger content come out of it? Leave a comment down below. Thanks for stopping by, everyone, and hope to catch you all in my next video. Peace out, everybody.